Welcome to the Security Cafe podcast.
Hello and welcome to another Security Cafe. This one is special. It's at CISOday. I have here Dimitri van Zantvliet, welcome. And our regular table guest, co-host Quint Ketting. Very welcome, guys. Dimitri, CISO of the Dutch Railways, Security Director, Chairman of the Board of CISOday. What the topic is of today. Let's crack on. What and why are we here?
Well, thank you for having me. First of all, we're here because this is the third CISOday in a row. I think we started 4 years ago, Rob Beideveld and myself, with an idea that actually having a CIO day, we should also have a CISOday, and because the profession is getting more visible, it should be more visible. It gets more mature. So there's a necessity to exchange ideas. It's necessary also to learn from each other.
Yeah.
And that's the reason that we started CISOday. We started a community, CISO Community, CISO platform, together with a couple of board members, like Carlo Scheurs from Friesland Campina, Luisella from Stedin, and Justin from the Ministry of Finance.
Yeah.
And Rob, we are, hosting and trying to facilitate the events that are taking place, and we're also very happy that Atos has joined as a sponsor to facilitate it, because I think you probably agree that it's necessary to build a community.
Maybe that's a good one for you. Why are we doing this?
Well, I think you what you just mentioned, Dimitri, right? I think the need to find each other, as different organizations doing different things, working closer together. I think especially in the time we in the program today, you saw a lot of things about disruptive technology, disruptive geopolitical climates. It's For me, it's a world I've been living in for more than 27 years. Yeah, but for a lot of people,
I thought you were a bit older.
I'm not as old as I look like. People almost sometimes tell me, but no, I think this is the world we live in, and for the good thing, I think, is it's becoming more mainstream as well. But people like my parents, for instance, they still don't have a clue what's happening in the world, right? And those are I would say, the more innocent type people. But if we relate that to certain smaller organizations, I'm not talking about the grocery shop around the corner, but at least there are some mid-sized companies. A lot of them also still believe that everything is fine. There's nothing happening that could disrupt them. How do you look at that?
I don't talk to the butcher and the grocer.
No, that's what I mean.
No, I don't talk to them about that kind of topics. Those kind of topics.
I think the MKB, the one level above them, right? That's
but that's what I'm saying.
I agree. No. I see what you mean.
You don't talk about those topics because you talk about the weather. You talk about things that are going on in your street and in the area. It's not so much about unless they are hacked or phished, or when they know that you are engaged in the cybersecurity profession. Then sometimes you get some questions, but I mean, it's that happens rarely. So you need to be a bigger company, perhaps, and SME plus company that can really be affected by cybercriminality, by the geopolitical tension you just mentioned, and if you are a critical infrastructure, just like Dutch Railways, this is daily bread.
Yeah. And what does that mean then, that this is daily bread? So the tension rising and it's getting more difficult, the speed is increasing. What does that then mean for a company like TNS?
Well, I joined 5 years ago, and in 2021, and right after I joined, we were appointed as a critical entity. It means we had to comply with the NIS1 regulation. But also right after I joined, Ukraine came into war with Russia. And then what you saw is that a lot of railway malware was designed wiperware as well, to disrupt the Belarusian railway. We were kind of worried that would spread out over the internet and also affect our infrastructure. So we had to take countermeasures. We worked together with the NCSC, NCTV, AIVD, all the four-letter words, and so to be prepared for the geopolitical shift that was taking place. And right off the bat, you saw that it was not just physical; it was hybrid. Yeah. So it was a combination of physical and digital, and that continued. So then we just came out of the Corona era, where people had to work from home rapidly. We had to roll out laptops so people could work from home. We still had those old Citrix boxes,
exactly.
And that's also a shift in your attack surface. And then came the war in Ukraine, and then now, last year came the war in the Middle East.
Yeah,
you see those Iranian factions also attacking vital infrastructure. I think 2 weeks ago we saw something happening in a railway operator in Florida, United States. So we keep a close eye on what is happening in the world, specifically in the railway sector, obviously. And we align with the European railway operators in an ISAC, with the Dutch rail operators in the Dutch ISAC. Also with our suppliers, we have very narrow contacts to exchange threat intel. And we even set up our own threat intelligence team, now with 5 people. And so for strategic, tactical, operational tech threat intelligence that can be disseminated into the organization. Yeah. And so that the teams can really be helped in what their focus should be on. So this is a major shift in our capability set that as Dutch Railways we needed to develop, not only because of legislation but also because of the shift in cybercrime and
being resilient for what happens.
What happens in the world, and that's if you read the last report of the MIVD, the Military Intelligence Service. It has never been this bad after World War II.
And I think that's, again, back to the community, right? I think that's why it's important to have a community, because not every organization will be at the same level of maturity, but also knowledge and many other aspects. What makes maturity altogether mature? And therefore, I think it's important that a local government municipality learns from people who act in Champions League of defender industry.
Definitely, and not only from from each other, but also from your suppliers. Yeah. So Atos, for example, you both work for Atos. Atos is a global company. They have global data.
Yeah, we have threat intel, dedicated team as well.
So and so you should also leverage together with your suppliers, and especially the bigger ones that have metadata on threat intelligence, on the endpoints that are being affected. You can collate those data points and do some analysis, and perhaps you are better in shape to detect in a very early stage, what attacks are taking place, what shape and form they have. And that kind of TTP and IOCs you can share with the community.
Yeah, and I think years ago, commercial companies were still very reluctant on sharing those detail, because a lot of them
money
thought like, it's basically my IP that I'm giving away. But you see now that shift has turned, completely. Yeah. I think everybody realizes now, all of the major companies, we need to share the data together.
It goes both ways.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah. And give it, and basically share and take from each other, right?
Yeah, it's indeed that give and take, is that push and pull on that data. But if you look at that, right? So NS and the bigger MSSPs, they have a bunch of data. They have the investment capabilities to actually set up teams to do this. or make choices to do that, right? Because it's not every company that doesn't have the budget, but sometimes it's spent on something else, right? In a board, I want to spend my money to invest in bigger growth instead of in a CTI team, right? And I think that's the shift that we see in velocity, but also the shift that we will see more and more happening is the teams that do this. You guys have 5 people, and the
only on CTI.
On CTI, yeah.
Exactly.
It's that in the end struggle to get those people in your company, right? And if now you have a new group and a CISO says, I would like to have a CTI team, it's very difficult to get the right people in that area without damaging something else, right?
So train them yourself.
Yeah.
That's what we do as well.
That's the setup, yeah.
Yeah, so we also set up a cyber academy internally. So I think 2 or 3 people are now, on a daily basis working, bringing knowledge together in real specific education, cybersecurity education. We train them for the CISP certificates, for the CISA certificates, but also for specific railway use cases that we have. So also in cyber threat intelligence, my colleagues went to the SANS courses, but they also get their own, the railway specific, the Dutch railway specific training, and we can provide that now for, all of the company's employees, being a train driver to staff, office staff, workers. And that's a major benefit because, as you rightly say, you can't always get them out of the market.
No,
and now our salaries are not similar to Atos salaries, probably. It's commercial, which is understandable. But, if you want to work with Dutch Railways, then might I say we still have vacancies. Look at werken bij ns.nl.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
We put that in the show notes,
yes.
Dimitri.
Please put it in the show notes. And, so we are heavily investing also in the vertical, vertical, education, but also horizontal. So people from outside cyber, we will train them, we will help them to be part of the cyber team, and that takes sometimes 1 or 2 years. But
well, we have some experience with that as well, because we used to have an academy in the motive environment. And that's going to be my next question. So how do you find those people? Because what we did back at Motive, we basically looked at, a person needs to be at least creative. They need to be resilient from a point of view that they want to find out what's happening. They don't necessarily have to have an IT background. That might sound strange to outsiders, but really, I rather have a journalist who knows how to get a story, because he'll know how to investigate something, than, for instance, a regular IT administrator, for instance.
Yeah, 100%. No, so I would rather hire someone with stamina. So, for example, an Olympic sports person, or we just hired someone who's a Hyrox. I never heard of it, but
I know that's unfortunately
endurance sport thing, and if they can
these days
endure that, then they can also have the patience and the endurance to work in Dutch railways, because sometimes it's not so fast as a commercial environment, and you need to have some stamina to really achieve the goals. And cybersecurity is just a job. It's good if you have some passion. I think it's absolutely necessary to have the passion, otherwise you would burn out. But everyone can learn it. I mean, it's
I think so too.
Special. It's
I think back in the day when
regular
I started,
job.
You mentioned my age, but when I started, there wasn't any training about cyber. We had to all. Somebody said, like, I want us to all get on the internet, and so we did, But no one really told about the consequences of that. And yet, then the big worm viruses came in the beginning, right?
Yeah.
That's maybe a good parallel or a bridge to some of the main topics I'm seeing today. We just had the first breakout or keynote speeches. And yeah, of course, the word frontier AI was mentioned a lot.
Are we going to talk about AI?
No, not just maybe 2 minutes. Yeah, let's not spoil it. For the people who don't know that, we just had a talk together, the three of us, to a few CISOs 3 weeks ago, I believe, about the same thing. But I think, this is, of course, for me, it feels like when we all went on the internet and we didn't really think about that.
When was that? Was
1999, something like that. Before that, there was internet, but companies, they didn't really want to go on the internet, right? And then around the 2000 boom, that didn't happen. And is that because we were prepared or not? We will never know.
I think, but
I think that is that time frame. Most companies said, I don't care. I just want us all to be connected to the internet, right? And
then came the mobile phone.
And then we had to again reinvent our assurance models, our protection models, and everything.
The infrastructure. Yeah.
To me, it feels like a similar thing with a different challenge today.
Yeah, I think that might be the case. So if you go even further back, you can even look at the steam engine, right? And when the industrial revolution took place, and then, as you say, IT revolution and internet revolution, mobile revolution, data revolution we had before AI came. Everyone was collecting data, and data was the new gold. Now we say data is the new uranium.
Exactly. I was going to say that. I've heard you say that once in a public speech.
And now we are in the AI era where everybody's actually guessing what's going to happen next. Because if you look at the hockey stick that we're in, I think we're only in the first 1% of the steep increase, vertically up. And we haven't seen nothing yed.
No,
we
haven't.
We agree on that. And so we have all these LLMs, and then Gen AI, of course, sped everything up. But at Dutch Railways, for example, we've been riding trains since 1839, and we've been using AI since 1986, I think. Yeah, 1986. Much of it is, deep learning, machine learning, and there's
algorithms.
Broad container word, of course, algorithms, indeed, expert systems, and now we have Gen AI. We have all those multimodal LLMs. What will come next?
I think everything will be brought on steroids once quantum comes, of course, right? And then we have to rethink. It's not just the encryption that I'm worried about, but everything else that is digital will accelerate as well, and we need to.
But how to then prepare for something like that? Because the velocity is increasing, right? So we don't have time to do the things we've done. Our processes need to change, and we heard that in some of the keynotes as well. The time is changing. So are our security principles of least privileged and segregation and all that stuff, is that then still valid? And do we just need to arrange our processes around those quicker? Or are the principles changing?
Well, I think the first thing we should do is take the basic hygiene seriously. So many companies still have problems with multi-factor authentication, with the passwords, with segmentation, segregation of networks. All the basic stuff is still not in place. And, that's when you open up for vulnerabilities and the new coding LLMs will just find them faster and then make them exploitable faster. So, and this morning we had this pre-conference meeting and dialogue, and that's where Jan Joost from NCSA also said, it used to take us 20 days to do the patching cycles and be finished, and now a couple of hours is needed. In a couple of months, probably you need to have real-time patching.
I think we need to get used to like phones, right?
Yeah.
You get updates every day, and I think
every day.
Every hour.
Every hour,
correct. And I think we need to look at the different. And this is also mindset because I'm agreeing with what you said. The principles probably don't slay. If you have the basics and you follow them, it still is quite hard to get in. But if you don't protect your internet-facing devices, okay, come on, guys, and you don't do anything behind it, well, I don't have to explain any else here on the table what you need to be doing. Yeah. But that is the fundamentals haven't changed. But it's like you do a surgery, and all of a sudden you see all the muscles and the things, and that's the same thing now with your protection. If you've not done your protection very well in the last 20 years, they will be exposed in the very near future. It's already being exposed in a lot of organizations, like data leaks, right? We see them like all the time now. Yeah.
Data leaks.
We don't even have to discuss it anymore.
Yeah,
almost,
exactly.
Yeah.
I think the thing that will be new in this era is the usage of AI will bring new, probably attack vectors, probably new risks, and we haven't really understood those really well. I mean, what those autonomous agents can do for damage, for example. Yeah. I mean, we will see some exciting stuff in the coming months.
To control it, and that's why I bring back that time frame around 2001 till 2003. I Love You game. It's very innocent, but it gained a lot of traffic, brought most networks down because of the traffic. Then the SQL Slammer came, which was actually the first worm virus that I got involved in as a first responder at the time, that actually was exploiting a vulnerability that was already automatically. It was just a VB script for the people who still know what it is. Yeah, but what it did, it found an unpatched system. Did port scanning. And then it exploited that particular port. It checked whether the vulnerability was patched or not. And if not, it went in and exploited it. And it basically replicated itself to any other system. And I think for me, we will probably see an event, and this is not to scare people, because the good news I think we're going to have to talk about right after this. I think we will see a disruptive event soon, Maybe we already have seen it, we don't know. But the impact hasn't been so wide. But I think soon we will experience one of those big cases again that will make us all realize, okay, we need to do something different. And whatever that was, I think this is where the community comes in. We need to bring all the heads together into making sure that this is the one thing we all need to be doing, and be razor sharp on it.
Yeah, I think... if you go back in time, I think the first virus was 1995, the AIDS virus, right? From the conference in Vegas, I think. Yeah. Which was spread via floppy disk. For the children at home, a floppy disk.
But it could not exploit itself, basically. That's why I bring up the 2001.
But I mean, it's over 30 years ago.
Yeah,
so
indeed.
I agree, it's nothing new. It's more of the same. Only the speed or the reaction that you have, we need to increase, and we need to speed up. And I think there's two possibilities for people and companies that are not willing to invest in their cyber hygiene. First is you can't really deliver to the big organizations anymore, because for Dutch Railways,
you will be blacklisted.
If you are a provider, a supplier, we want you to have. If you are a critical supplier, of course, not if you are the baker or the butcher.
Well, still you can.
It's
you
important
can also food,
to have bread. Yes, food is very important. No. But so you need the ISO certificate or a SOC 2 Type 2 assurance statement, and we will definitely look at your posture, and we will have a discussion with you, and probably even help you if it's not in check. In the RFP, it's a knockout criterion. So if you don't have it, you can't deliver anymore. And if you don't have any business, then you're out of business. And the other thing is, if you don't invest, you'll probably be hacked, or ransomed, or whatever. And then it's Darwin's law.
It's your reputation that is out there. That is not
and then
good.
You're out of business as well. So I think it's not a question.
So if you don't do it, you're out of business. Either your license
only
to
one
operate.
Solution. Invest in cyber hygiene. Invest in digital resilience. If you want to, keep on delivering, keep on doing business. Invest in digital resilience.
That business enabler, right? Cyber. You cannot do without.
Yeah, nowadays it's a business enabler.
Just looking at the time, because we
indeed. The final bell, right?
Yeah, exactly. We always have a final
finished
bell.
already?
No, not. We are almost half an hour underway, I think. So, but we can talk more. What we normally do, Dimitri, we also have some. We normally have a news section. We don't do that today. We talked about, I think, every public thing already that is in the news. Something you've watched or a book you've read recently that you want to promote to people, saying, "Okay, you need to be reading that." I know. I think in your last keynote you had a book that was about systemic resilience or something like that.
Oh yeah. That's about anti-fragility. I think,
exactly.
Yeah?
That's what I meant.
Nassim Taleb is the writer of that, and it's actually a book about how to become more agile as an organization and learn in a very fast cycle. So fail fast, learn fast, adapt your processes, and get on. And that's as a society, I think that's necessary. I think that's what digital resilience is all about. Being more than resilient, but being anti-fragile in the near future.
Yeah,
Capable of, you will be hacked. There will be incidents will take place. Learn from it, adjust your processes, adapt, and go on, and be better than you were before.
Yeah,
I think that's
exactly what we preach in basically to customers as well. Prepare, respond, and adopt. Yeah, that is the life cycle you need to go through.
Did you read the book?
Yeah, I did not read the book, but this is
yet.
I will. Yeah, I promise. But this is a kind of, I would say the experience of, I always say, if you don't know who you are, how do you know what to protect? Most people, they start like, I need to protect all the systems that that's an IT conversation. I think you need to do more than just protecting your IT. You have to protect your brand, the organization that you are. And that's not just an IT conversation. I always tell people my work isn't cybersecurity anymore because I talk about geopolitics. I talk about all kinds of strategic business things.
All day.
Exactly. And they all have a relationship or a risk to who you are. And I think that's the first thing you need to be looking at before you can do the rest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What books have you read?
Oh, a lot. But not lately. I bought a book that was Lewis Hamilton Becoming World Champion. It's a long time ago. I only read the first page, so that's basically how good I am with books.
I like that analogy with security and Formula One, right? There's always this tension of driving safe, which ensures, like a brake, it's the easiest example, right? It doesn't make you stop, it makes you go faster because you can attack a corner, right?
Exactly,
And that's exactly what I think is happening in cyber. Yeah. Right, guys, thank you very much. Let's wrap it up. The final bell was there already. We've done the books, something to read or watch. We'll put that in the show notes.
He needs to read them then.
Yeah, he needs
I will
to
do,
read them.
and we
it's
put
not
them
just
in the
for
show
him;
notes.
it's also for the guys behind the camera. Yeah. Thank you very much, Dimitri.
You're welcome. It was a pleasure.
It was a pleasure. Really happy to be here for all the CISOs and listeners out there. CISOday is the place to be.
See you next year.
Next year, please be invited. Quint, thank you for today, and see you later.
All right,
guys. Bye bye.